Welcome to the world of Nathaniel Hawthorne. Hawthorne's world is one that is often set in the Puritan times, and we often see a good deal of symbolism and very much in nature surroundings in much of it. Young Goodman Brown is a good example here. Young Goodman Brown is set in a period of time during which the Puritans were still very active, in a place where the Salem witch trials took place, and young Goodman Brown goes out into the forest, a forest perhaps a bit like this one here, as he's able to roam through it in the evening and meet the devil in a very literal manner here. He does in fact meet the devil in the forest. Well, what is all this symbolic of? Well, perhaps in a way young Goodman Brown is a bit like every man in that we meet the devil in one way or another. We meet temptation, we meet evil. And how do we react to it, and what effect does it have on us in our lives? As you read through this tale, notice the symbolism that Hawthorne uses, because he does use quite a bit of it. And this is a very good tale in a way because it reveals many of the concerns that Hawthorne deals with in many of his stories. The Minister's Black Veil is another story by Hawthorne that works around symbolism as well. What does this veil stand for? Why does this minister wear it? Well, as you read through the story, think back to some Old Testament prophets and how they did things because they felt like God wanted them to do it, but they wouldn't always explain to the people why they were doing it. And this is really what happens in Hawthorne's tale as well. There was a true life inspiration for it, of course, as there was a minister who killed a friend in a hunting accident and wore a veil for the rest of his life because of that. But here, this is not really the case with our minister in the story. The minister here wears the black veil as a symbol for other people to see, but he doesn't really explain to them what it's supposed to symbolize. But if you notice at the end of the story, he does explain to us and those who are around him at his deathbed when they ask him about why he's wearing the veil, why he won't take it off. And he tells them, he looks around and sees a veil on everyone. Look at his words there. And the minister explains to us what we're supposed to get out of his wearing the veil. Hawthorne's story called The Birthmark is one that we may see as, in a way, anti-science. There are several themes you might look at in this, but as you'll notice when you read the story that the scientists' experiments don't always turn out right. And our wife in this story finds this out as she reads through his journal. And you'll find that in a strange sort of way, this really is a case thing sometimes, the way things work in science, as science may be looking for one thing and stumbles across something else in the process. And this is what has happened to our scientist in the story. So we do find a sort of anti-science theme within this story, but there's also the idea of earthly perfection and how it is not attainable here. And as you look at this story, look at that idea also. This little birthmark on the wife's cheek is not something this man should be obsessed with, and yet he is. And because he is so obsessed with it, his wife becomes obsessed with it. And this, of course, leads to her death. So there seems to be another sort of theme or idea here that Hawthorne wants to convey, that there is nothing in life that can be absolutely perfect. And when we reach perfection, we can only reach it in death. On this side of death in life, there can be no one who is completely perfect. Enjoy the story. It's one of Hawthorne's good ones, and I think you'll find a number of ideas in here that are challenging for us even today, as there are some similarities in what the scientist does in this story as to things that scientists are doing today in things like cloning, for example. And we question whether we should do these things even though we have the ability to do them.